Now in this video, we're not going to work on a new feature, which is adding some images. Like for example, the user that we are currently swiping might have multiple images. So we're going to add that feature in this card. All right, so let's get on to it. All right, so for that, now if you notice, if I reload the page, you see that there's an overlap of elements behind and it's really inconveniencing. So let's go ahead and fix that first. In here, where there's relative, this one, where there's background image, you can simply add a background to white. That way, if you see, if I refresh the page, there's not really an overlap behind and it's now looking much more user friendly. So after doing that, in here we're going to make a few changes to our layout. First of all, go to this element which has width full and height full. Let's simply remove this element, move down there and remove up there. Now for this, we're going to change how we place the image in this design, since we're currently designing, so we are free to make changes. For now, we can simply, inside here, let's create a section. This section is going to be a new one. It's going to be a carousel section. I'm going to just use some simple Alpine to create a carousel. In here, we're going to have X data. Here, we're going to have some active slide, which is by default, it's going to be 1. And we're going to have slides. Now, these slides, we're going to get them from our PHP. So let's just do this right now as an add PHP feature. So here, for the slides, up here, up this carousel section, we can create add PHP. Here, let's create slides. We're going to create an array of images. And these, normally they would come from the user. When we're looping through users, we're going to get them from the user database. But for now, let's just create an array. So for that, we can simply, let's get this image up here from this style. Let's copy this there, paste it there, and just remove this. Outside here, we can do dot rand between 2 and 10. Or add a comma there, and we can repeat this like twice to get like 2 images, or 3 rather. Yeah, 3 images. Now it's gonna get some random images here. Add a hyphen. After woman, add a hyphen, and add a hyphen. Alright, now these slides, we can now use them here as PHP, and in order to get the PHP, we can simply use @js and paste that. Now this is gonna convert this PHP array and add it to our Alpine JS property. Alright, now after doing that, in here we're gonna have slides. So for that, we're gonna use a template, since the template allows us to loop through elements, so we can show elements in the loop. For that, we're gonna say x for image index in slides from this one. Alright, image index in slide. This is just equivalent to saying for each of the index and the actual item we're looping through. But this is just JavaScript. So in here, I'm gonna have a key. The key will be equals to the index. Right. In here, let's create an image. You can add absolute, insert 0, pointer events none, width full, height full, object cover. Alright, after creating that out, we can just add image here. And for the source is going to be, we're going to add this dynamically. So for that, we can simply say here, add a full colon before the source, so we can access this property. And then here, add the image. So the source will be coming from this image. Okay, now here, let's add X data. Or actually, let's add X show. When I show this image, active slide, this one, which is up here, active slide, is equals to index plus 1. We're adding plus 1 because normally the array is start from 0. So us, we just want to make it, readable to us, make it easier to work with. So we're adding index plus 1. Alright, now for this, you can simply remove this style, image background. Yeah. And now if we go and check how this is looking like, let's see if the image is showing up. If I refresh this, okay, awesome, we still have an image. There are like 3 images here, but since we don't have controls yet to click on the next image, it's not really showing up. But if I scroll, functionality is still working, so this is good. Now here, after this slide, the template, here let's add pagination. Down here, this is going to be a div absolute, the top one, insert x0, z10, width full, and then flex, item center, phi, center. Right, and after adding that, okay, now inside this element, we're going to have a template again. Right, this template is going to have another x4. It's going to be the same as this one here, x4 image as in slides. We can just simply copy this. The key, index again, copy that just to work faster. In here, I'm going to have a button. Now with this button, I'm going to have a class here. It's going to be flex1, width 4, height 2, mx1, and then rounded, full, overflow, hidden. This is just going to be a paginator button. Alright, now in here I'm going to have the dynamic class. Here we can say class to indicate if we're currently on this index or not. Alright, here it's going to be class. That's on curly brackets there. Background white to indicate that the image is active. You can say active slide. Double click that to make sure it matches with the other ones. Okay, no typo. Active slides is equals to index plus 1, just as we did here. So if the image is this index, you're going to show this index indicator. And it's going to be background gray 500 if a full column, the active slide is not equals to index plus 1. Alright. And then here you're going to have one last attribute. Here you can add at click. You want to say set the active slide is equals to index plus 1. Alright, now if we go and check also, now you see we have these 3 index images that are here. So if I click this one, it's going to different image and different image and different image. And I can still scroll to the next card. Here I can see different image, image and image. So it's working correctly. Alright. Now in here, next let's just add some buttons here such that we can click next or previously like that. So let's go ahead and add more pagination. Alright, so you can close that. Now down here, I'm going to have last pagination buttons. Button, let's add a class. It's going to be absolute. So it's going to be previously. Prev button for now first. Absolute, since we're going to have here left, 2, top, 1.5, so we can center it. And then my auto to actually center it. Actually here, let's add a class. Open bracket here is going to be hidden if the slides.length is equals to 1. Because if we have one image only, then we don't want to show the next or previous button. And I'll show you that in action later. And here when we click to set the active slide to be equals to active slide. Here actually we're going to do a little bit of some chaining. So here this first one is going to be the assigning, the last one. We're going to assign this value finally. And here in the next, we're going to check if active slides is equals to 1. Question mark. And I'm going to get the slides dot length or here full colon active, this one active slide minus 1. This is for the previous button. Now in here, let's now go ahead and add our button. And for this, we can now go to hero icons. Make sure I go to this website here on top. Let's check for this chevron. You can get the one which is facing left, this one. Paste it in here. You're of course going to have to tweak the stroke a little bit. Here, add stroke to 3. And here you can just add text to white. Now if you go and check, you see the button is showing up. If I start clicking it, the images are now working the pagination correctly. So it's working fine. Now if the image is 1, for example, here let's go to our slides, and then here let's just remove these other remove these two images so we can just only have one image inside here. Now if we go, you see the button here is gone, which means it's no longer clickable. And if you can see up here, we have this one pagination, which is not really convenient. So let's go and remove it if the image is only one. Okay, we can go back to the carousel section. Here there's a pagination. In here we can add a class. Here we can add the same class as here, this one. Hidden from the previous button. We're going to hide this pagination if the slide length is equals to 1. Now you can see it's gone now. This is good. Now we can actually go back and bring back these other two images. Paste that there and paste that there. Now we have the 3 images back. Yes, like that. Now it's still working correctly. Now finally, let's go and add the next button. All right. All right. In here, let me just push this to the right, and this too. Now for the next button, we can simply just copy this. This is going to be next. And then go ahead and format the document now. For the next button, it's just going to change to right. Instead of left, it's going to be right here, the opposite. And then for the controls, here at click, like right here, it's active slides -1 right here. But for us, since this is the control for next, here it's going to be active slides +1. And also here, instead of checking if it is equals to 1, we're also going to do if it is equals to slides dot length. Since the length, it will give us the last value. Here slides dot length. Here 1, or else we're gonna move to the next one, active slides dot next. Now if we go back, let's now just go ahead and change this one. Now we can go back. You can see if I click, it will work quite right, but it's showing the wrong kind of arrow. So let's go ahead and add another arrow here, the one facing right. So here I can just paste that. We change the width stroke to 3. Here add text white. Right, awesome. Now if I go back, now it's working fine. We now have a carousel successfully. We can now click through different images for this user, and I can go to the next user and check out their different images too. And I can use buttons for convenience, and I can still swipe nope, like, super like. So it's working successfully. But before I close the video, here if you see something, that if I get this arrow and I drag it, you see it's just messing up the whole thing right here. So for us, let's go ahead and try to fix that. So for that, actually even the other arrows will still mess up the whole thing. So let's fix this one. I realized this when I was coding this, swiper. Yeah. So to fix that, we can go back in here in the button. In the button, let's add here draggable to true actually. Let's see what's gonna happen. So here in the next, if I try to drag it, awesome. Now it's no longer affecting the thing because I added its own draggable feature. So it's no longer gonna affect the pan element behind. This one, if I drag, it's gonna affect it. You see? So with that being said, let's go ahead and add a draggable true to all buttons that are inside this element. So here we can go. Let's copy this draggable true. Right. Let's add to this button. Let's go ahead and add it to this pagination here. Let's add draggable true there. Here, no need, since we've added pointer events to none to this image, so there's no need to add draggable. And then here we also have some other buttons, like here in the swipe indicators. In here, for these ones, no need, since here pointer events is equals to none. And we can go to information and actions. Here in personal information, we have one button here, this one. Let's add draggable to true. Let's go to actions. Here in the actions, add draggable to true to all these buttons. They are true. I added false before thinking it will work, but I realized you have to add true. They are true, true, true to all the buttons. And if you have more buttons that I haven't seen now, you can simply just add draggable true to prevent them from affecting how this swiper works. So now it's working fine. So I can drag items like that, and it's no longer going to affect the item, and I can still work correctly like that. Yeah, so I think that's it for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.